Hey folks, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another review. This is once again thanks to Till from Germany, who not only sent me this shirt, but sent me a shitload of films, including Assault on Precinct 13. Now, Assault on Precinct 13, for those wondering, this is a 2 disc. It pretty much, from what I understand, the first disc has the same extras on the DVD. I had a DVD, but it was bare bones. It had nothing on it. But then there's another DVD which has all the features on this first disc, which is, sorry, my nose itches. Commentary by John Carpenter, has a sort of Q&A that John Carpenter and actor Austin Stoker did. Some radio spots, trailers. But this also has a second disc, which is about an hour long John Carpenter Master of Cinema, sort of hour-long documentary on John Carpenter going through some of his various films like The Fog, Halloween, The Thing, Stay from New York, and so on. There's some they don't touch on, like they don't touch on Big Trouble in Little China. Uh, they don't mention They Live too much, or Village of the Damned, or mainly it's sort of talking about John Carpenter itself. But yeah, this one's called Master of Cinema, which was done in the UK, which was really cool to see. I like the way they did this as well. Also has a booklet. It's in a different language, so I can't read it, but it's cool. Still very cool. I know there's a Blu-ray of Assault on Precinct 13 coming out by Stream Factory. I'm very big on special features, so I'd be curious to see what new special features they'll put on there. Be very curious about that, but I'm still going to keep this, even if I do get that. I'm still going to keep this because this not only is it a wonderful gift, it looks awesome too. I love the packaging. Plus, it has the bonus disc as well, and it's in widescreen. The film looks great, to me at least. I think I reviewed this film once before, a long time ago. The review's still up. This is when I had an older camera. When I first started this account, I think it was one of those. I remember reviewing John Carpenter films. And Assault on Precinct 13 is still one of my all-time favorite John Carpenter movies. I believe it's the second film he did. He did Dark Star, which I'll be reviewing that sometime down the road, once I finally get a chance to see it. Because Till also sent me that movie. But Assault on Precinct 13, I believe it was his second film. Dark Star was sort of it was a student project, but then it became a film that would go into theaters. And I think because of that film, John Carpenter pretty much got carte blanche to do whatever film he wanted as long as it was for a low budget. And this film, I believe, was, I'm not sure how much it cost, around $100,000, maybe lower than $100,000. Either way, they got a lot out of this film. It was just very well done flick. Assault on Precinct 13, pretty much it's John Carpenter's take on a Western. I know John Carpenter's a big fan of Westerns, and I believe Rio Bravo. He's a fan of Howard Hawks, so we're update on that. And ultimately, it becomes a siege movie where you have this precinct besieged by just shitloads and shitloads and shitloads of bad guys who, in a way, are sort of faceless folks. Because I know an inspiration John Carpenter said he had was Night of the Living Dead, actually. Just sort of faceless people. And this guy comes in, you find out, we, the audience, know what happened to this guy. And the cop has to join with the prisoners in order to save themselves from the siege where constant people are trying to fuck them up. And what's great about this film has a wonderful atmosphere to it, which I guess is atmosphere that they did a lot in the 70s and it's kind of hard to recapture nowadays, unfortunately. Has an excellent score. I mean, the main theme that John Carpenter comes up, which I believe he did the score for this film in about 3 days, did a really great job. It may seem simplistic, but it's to the point and it's very memorable. I mean, like I was saying before, the main theme to Assault on Precinct 13, I think, is one of the best main themes. It's one of my favorite main themes and one of my favorite John Carpenter scores. You know, dum da da dum dum, bum bum ba da dum, dum bum ba 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 bum, bum bum ba 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 bum, dum da da dum, dum dum da da dum. Fantastic score, especially that main theme. And it did. He sort of builds this mystery, but also this atmosphere of, that there's a lot of gang warfare. You even have these people who we don't know who they are, but they're gang members who get shot from above from police officers, and you hear on the radio how gang warfare is really picking up. And then we're introduced to our character of Bishop, played by Austin Stoker, which he's been in a few films. I think he was in the Battle of the for the Planet of the Apes, Battle of the Planet of the Apes. I think he was in a couple blaxploitation films. I think a film called Abby, which was sort of a blaxploitation version of The Exorcist, among others. And he plays the lead, which I thought was interesting. I mean, someone mentioned it, how in the '70s films, unless it was a blaxploitation film like Shaft, you didn't see a lot of black people as the lead. And it was really cool. And what's nice about it is that he plays this cop who is this. You get the idea from Officer on the CB radio that this is his guy's first day on the job, and he's sent to, actually, it's not Precinct 13, it's Precinct 9, Division 13. And of course, I know that doesn't make sense, but the thing is, John Carpenter was not the one who titled this Assault on Precinct 13. I think he titled like the Anderson Alamo or something like that. But the producers or the people the studio or someone said, no, that's not really the right title. Give it Assault on Precinct 13, which I will admit, it's definitely a memorable title. I almost wish, usually I'm against this, but I almost wish there's a way that they could go in and just fix that little tiny thing, like just record a new voice. Go to Division 9, Precinct 13. Even if there's not a real one, I don't think no one would notice since this takes place in the '70s. But that's just like a little nitpick. And that's not Carpenter's fault, it's that they retitled his movie. But I like the idea that I love Austin Stoker in this. He's excellent. He's very likable. He's a guy who is, you just say he's by the book, but he's not very uptight asshole about it. But he's genuinely a good guy. He is a cop and he wants to do his job. And I like the fact that, okay, here's a guy who's black, who is the lead. From what I just got done watching this, they never mention his race. Meaning, it's never, oh, you can't do this because you're black, or you can't do this. It's never brought up, which I find refreshing, because nowadays it would get brought up because, oh, he's this and that, but that never comes into play, which I find refreshing. It's not based on race, it's just the character. He's just playing a character. A character that could be played out by anybody that just happens to be played by someone who's black. It's not, no, because, a lot of times, especially blaxploitation, is racially charged, and here, you don't have to deal with that. Which is refreshing, because it's not about that. It's about, hey, we need to stick together. These assholes are coming in. We need to survive. I like that. I like that they don't even bring race into the equation. It's not about that. It's about the situation at hand. So I found that pretty refreshing, because to me, picking on the race would be the easy way to go, and they didn't do that, which I appreciate. And Austin Stoker, again, he did a great job as Bishop. And then you have Napoleon, played by Darwin Joston, who's the prisoner, who him and a group of others, including Tony Burton, who would be in the Rocky films as Apollo's trainer and friend, and later on Rocky's friend. He's also one of the prisoners. And you have someone they're on this prison bus, and you have this person who's getting very sick. Is like, okay, we gotta stop. And they stop by this precinct that Austin Stoker and these other people are at. And the thing is, the precinct is closing down, and so he's there to sort of watch the last of the stuff being packed up and shipped to another precinct. And he's also there with, I want to get the actress's name, Laurie Zimmer, which I thought she did a good job. She was very straight-laced, straightforward, tough chick too, very tough lady. I mean, she gets shot in the arm, she doesn't even phase her. That's how badass she is. And they stop and they, put the prisoners in. And Darwin Joston is very interesting. Unfortunately, Darwin Joston, who plays Napoleon, is no longer with us. May he rest in peace. But he's a great Napoleon. He's a great character because there's a certain mystery to it. I mean, even I believe the actor's name is Charles Cyphers. He's asking, why do they call you Napoleon, or more importantly, why did you kill those guys? And you never really find out why. He just gives this reason of, I talked to a priest when I was a kid, and he's like, son, you got some evil in you, you got some bad in you. And I guess I kind of took it to heart. And before that, you had the warden trip him. And Darwin Joston's like, yeah, I don't sit on stools as good as I used to. And then later on, the warden is telling him that I'll miss you. And it's like, Darwin Joston's like, that's not true, warden. You should always tell the truth. Even a little white lie could trip a man up, and trips the warden, and they get mad at him. He's like, huh, I guess he don't stand up so good either. At least as he used to. I like that he's pretty much a wise ass, but he's just a badass, just has a great presence to him. And a certain mystery, like, even Austin Stoker later on asked him, why do they call you Napoleon? He's like, I'll tell you. And then Austin Stoker's like, when? Maybe in the mid, and that's when they're being attacked at the end. But that's the thing, you don't really find out a lot of stuff about why is he called Napoleon, why did he kill these guys, why he's on death row because of that, but it leaves a certain mystery that you can put your own 2 cents, and a lot of times it's like, oh, they're just being lazy and this and that. But this one I thought it worked out very well. I thought it worked out particularly well in this instance. And pretty much throughout the film, while that's going on, you have this father who's with his little girl. And a little girl, I think it's Kim Richards, or Kim, I believe it's, God, I forgot her name. Is it Kim Richards? I want to say it's Kim Richards. Just want to make sure. Yeah, Kim Richards. Who was actually the little girl in the Escape from Witch Mountain movies. Escape from Witch Mountain and Return from Witch Mountain, or Escape to Witch Mountain and Return from Witch Mountain. She was a Disney kid. So the fact that they got a Disney kid to play this little girl, and then she wants ice cream at this one point, and these thugs who they don't really talk, and like the first time you see them is like they're cutting themselves and spilling blood into this like pan or cup or something, and they just go around tooling with a sniper rifle, just looking at people like who are they going to kill next. They don't give a fuck. And this guy kills this person, and this girl comes back to it's like, hey, you gave me the wrong ice cream cone. I wanted vanilla twist or whatever. And he just turns around with a silencer and shoots the girl, and the girl gets killed. And I know they got an X rating for that. It's like, this film would not be rated R unless that scene's cut. And Carpenter's like, what am I supposed to do? And some guy goes, well, cut that scene out for them, but then leave it out when you release the movie. And so they cut it out for them, but then they put it back in when they released the movie. That's why it came out as rated R still. But it's like, wow, they killed a kid. And not only that, it was a Disney kid from the Witch Mountain movies. So they killed her ass. And the father sees it, gets pissed, chases after them, kills sort of the leader of the gang. They come after him. He runs in. He's distraught. And then, as Austin Stoker says, it's a siege. It's a goddamn siege. They save the prisoners from outside. Some of them get killed, except Tony Burton and Darwin Joston. They get them in. And all of a sudden, he's like, okay, let them out. They don't help us. And you have a great sort of build-up of tension where Austin Stoker's getting this crate open, gets out, gives it to Napoleon. Darwin Joston, and he turns around and just blows the shit out of these people with a shotgun. And it's that moment like, oh shit, what's going to happen next? And Darwin Joston, he doesn't give Austin Stoker a lot of shit because he realizes, hey, this guy saved my ass twice. So the guy's smart too. He's like, hey, this guy saved my ass twice. The first time I thought it was a mistake, but the second time. And the guy goes, I want to keep everyone alive. And Darwin Joston, I guess he sort of, gee, this is a guy to trust. And I like that, this Napoleon character, he's a smart guy. He's not pulling some bullshit like, how dare you, and this and that. You didn't need that shit. And then as the movie goes on, you have it's hard to call this an action film. I mean, I would call, would you call this a thriller? Would you call this it is an action film, but at the same time, it's not like wall-to-wall action because not only is it low budget, but the action you just say is really this one scene that comes up and the scene at the ending. But at the same time, it works because the first half of the film is a great build-up, really cool actors and these interesting characters like Austin Stoker. He's a cop, his first day on the job, who I like the fact that he happens to be black, but he's the lead of the film, which wasn't really typical unless it was a blaxploitation film. But they never play on that. They never use that as a crutch. I like that. That's who he's playing. He's just playing a character called Bishop. And Darwin Joston, very interesting, mysterious guy. Tony Burton, who's in the Rocky films, he's a lot of fun. There's a moment where he goes, I have a plan. It's called Save Ass. And the way it works is I go out one of these windows and I run like a bastard. Or like there's a scene after the actual siege where, they say, hey, someone can go out and hotwire a car. And Tony Burton goes, shit! Shit! And then Darwin Joston's like, what are you talking about? We haven't even flipped the coin yet. I'll lose. You have a bad attitude, Wells. I always lose. Had bad luck all my life. How do you think I ended up here? Maybe your luck will change. It might. If we don't flip a coin. What then? Potatoes. And I'm thinking, what the hell is potatoes? Alright. And then there's 1 potato, 2 potato, 3 potato, 4, 5 potato, 6 potato, 7 potato more, 8 potato, 9 potato, 10 potato, 11. Kiss my ass and go to heaven. Wow, you spells you. God damn it. I told you I was going to lose. We're going to do it again. I thought that was really funny. I thought Tony Burton was actually pretty damn funny in this film. But not an asshole. He wasn't an asshole. He was likable, but he was also funny. Then when what happens to him, you feel bad about it. But before they had that initial siege where it's just straightforward. I like that. It's just that's what John Carpenter does. It's straightforward, no bullshit. Darwin Joston has a shotgun blowing the shit out of people from the window, and then Austin Stoker has this sort of rifle, and even the girl who got shot in the arm, she's watching the back and fucking people up. I like that. And a great score. Boom, boom. Doom, doom. Doom, doom. Really just great framework for the sequences. And even the ending when they gotta hold themselves up in the basement and they have this big fucking sign and they're coming in and just droves just over and over again. They're just blocking and having these clubs to smack the shit out of people that are trying to tap them and go back, and they've attached these canisters, and Austin Stoker's trying to smoke everywhere he can barely see, and he gets in and just blows the shit out of everybody. And you have a great ending where you really get a sense that Austin Stoker and Darwin Joston have a great respect for each other, and even Austin Stoker, the cop, is going, you're pretty fancy, Napoleon. And he's like, I have my moments. And then also throughout the film, he's Darwin Joston's always going, anyone got a smoke? Sort of the precursor of Snake Plissken in a way. Like Darwin Joston, so easy to see that this was a precursor for Snake Plissken. He's just that badass of a guy. Anyone got a smoke? That's something Snake Plissken would say. This is before that. But Darwin Joston, he did a great job. It's sad that he didn't really do a lot of... He was in a small part in The Fog, but I think he's in this film called Time Walker, that Mystery Science Theater 3000. Austin Stoker was in that as well. I didn't see that film, but it was Mystery Science Theater 3000. More than likely it's going to be shit. But they both admire each other, and they both walk out through the basement up to the top with that great theme music playing. What I have no problems with this film. I like the fact that the bad guys, there's this great mystery to it. There's no lengthy backstory as to who the hell these bad guys are and what their, their motivation already is. This guy killed one of their own for revenge for his daughter's death. He wanted help. He came in. Uh, but you don't need a lot of backstory with these bad guys. They're just, I don't want to say faceless, but in a way, they're sort of a faceless group of people who they use silencers. When the siege is over, they've taken away the bodies. They put the cars back so that if people passing by, no one would notice. And it is kind of like Night of the Living Dead. It is kind of like a horror movie at times where they're just coming out of the woodwork and just they're ready to fight to the death. And I like that. I thought it was. I mean, that's one of the many reasons why I did not like the remake of this. I mean, I will admit the remake of the film is a well shot movie, but it just pales in comparison to this. The music, the characters, Ethan Hawke had nothing on Austin Stoker. Lawrence Fishburne was not as badass. I like Lawrence Fishburne, but he wasn't as badass as Darwin Joston in this. The cops, you got the bad cops. You got more of their motivation. You got more of their backstory. And it didn't give a fuck. It's cool that it took place in the snow, but then, like, that really is like, okay, we have a bigger budget, but then, okay, we gotta have a rapper in there, like Ja Rule. We gotta have our funny guy, like John Leguizamo. Like, Tony Burton fit well. John Leguizamo didn't really care for it in the remake, and then, uh, just the remake wasn't terrible. It's not the worst one I've seen, granted, but it just not the biggest fan of it. Because to me, it just was not a film that needed to be remade. It really wasn't. Um, this film just well directed by John Carpenter with the small budget he had, great atmosphere and tension, uh, wonderful characters, and well acted by Austin Stoker and Darwin Joston, and even Laurie Zimmer. The bad guys being very, I mean, it's sort of creepier that you didn't really know who the hell these guys were. You got little tidbits of them, but they never spoke. They, I like that. It's sort of the mob mentality. It made the siege a little bit more creepier than everything, including the mama. Man, I don't know what more I can say about Assault on Precinct 13. It's an excellent film. I definitely think it's one of John Carpenter's best films. Sadly, it didn't do well when it came out in the U.S., but I know it got some good notices overseas, especially in England. Uh, Again, great characters, especially the main two. Wonderful score, excellent atmosphere that you get a lot in the '70s, especially from John Carpenter. Like John Carpenter knows how to do that, film in widescreen, and how to build that suspense. Just a badass movie. I don't know what more I can say. Just a badass film. Excellent film. Assault on Precinct 13. Very well done. So I don't know what more I can say, but who hasn't seen the original Assault on Precinct 13? If you haven't, what are you waiting for? Go check it out. But either way, thanks for watching. Take care, and we'll see you later.